how do you showcase such a personal journey? And that's when I asked our artistic director, our now artistic director, Catherine Simmons, to come on board to help the people dramatize their writing. And did I say to you at the time of the writing of the book, there was only one person who was able to put her name to her writing because of the shame and stigma around gambling? Now, when Catherine came on board and they worked together, the group became a really strong support group, and Catherine worked with them for 2, 3 months before the festival to dramatize their reading. We had 7 people in the spotlight who were at the Melbourne Writers' Festival. And they were met with a standing ovation. And I think that was really a sort of a turning point for us. I mean, Catherine knew the power of her work. We didn't necessarily. This was the first time. And for people to transform their really difficult, painful experiences into positive impact was so powerful that people call themselves accidental advocates. They've become really strong advocates for change after they see what their experience can actually do. And now, so we go out into the world. So this is how we started with live performances, real embodied stories performed to change people's minds and hearts and attitudes and practice. And just in relation to research that I hear that several of you are interested in, Deakin University has done a piece of research about the impact of these embodied lived experience performances on professionals' attitudes and practice. And it's shown to be very positive. And I will share a link to a summary of the research for you. And the practice, one of the key practices that we've been keen to change, is that we've found that gambling has not been on the radar of many professionals, especially in those allied sectors of drugs and alcohol and mental health and family violence and the criminal justice sector. Sometimes I feel that we collude with the silence and the shame around it, and we don't talk about it. And we've learned from our people that because of the shame, it's the last one to be spoken about and to come to the surface voluntarily. And we need to take responsibility to normalize the speaking about the gambling and not to be so siloed. So that it become a regular intake question or question, a conversation that needs to be had in a non-stigmatizing way around gambling. We're so, in our society, the normalization is of the doing of the gambling itself, but not the talking about it. And especially today with the sports betting, with the advertising, with the bombardment. I mean, we're all impacted. So yeah, this is our real desire, is to, in that intersectional world, to reach out both to the professionals, and of late we've been doing a lot of work in rehabs, and we take a performance out, and the conversations that come are from the heart because our work is emotive. And so there's another level, and people see the courage, and then people are inspired to talk out themselves. And then the other thing, in order for us to try to be more sustainable, we thought, people aren't going to be able to act and go, network. How can we be with people from all over Australia? So we've created these short recovery gamble video stories to encourage these conversations that we'll have today. And so we have at the moment about a dozen of these stories that we use. They're not out there in cyberspace. We use them in a monitored way that we've found sort of through COVID. We didn't miss a blip because we had these stories. And whenever we screen a story, we have the storyteller with us. And today it's Pauline. And so she's with us today so that you can really have a Q&A and a conversation afterwards. So I think I've done enough talking. I've done more than I usually do. So I'll hand over to Catherine to introduce herself and the rest of the session. Okay.
Thanks, Judy. Hi, everyone. Good to be here in the space and to hear about what you're all doing. It's really rich and yeah, anti-silo. That's the way to go. No siloing. So to that point, you know, again, what's storytelling? What's an artistic director got to do with anything? And I think at the simple level, I am not a therapist, but telling your story and leading people in a process of telling their story is inevitably therapeutic. So the premise is not therapy, but the peer connection and the process of unpacking your story and then embodying it is a very powerful process. And I've worked with diverse communities for over 30 years. Yeah, nobody wants to be an actor, but they end up being the actor. And what for? I think, like Judy said, in that it's like, I'm thinking, Heather, what you were saying, like getting all the family in the room. Well, in this, we get a whole audience in the room. So you get the community into the conversation. And I think that's where the power lies. You know, it's like the heartbeat in the room, the heartbeat of the people who are on the edge. And, you know, when we go into rehabs, you can imagine people have got a really strong, a really good bullshit radar. And they think, oh, yeah, they're sort of in there thinking, oh, here comes a performance. And then they're blown away by the truth. So I think, yeah, my work with people is about just enabling people, listening really deeply. What do they want to say and figuring it out and putting it out there. And so quite unique in Three Sides of the Coin is that it's the stories of people who've gambled and families, people who've been affected by gambling, collaborating in the one space. Now, they could be total enemies, but it's actually so much learning and cross-learning that happens. And I think that's a very relevant conversation to your work, I would imagine. And also, now that we are at Shark, I'm starting to work with people, a young woman with her experience, you know, ice and amphetamines and other people, a woman with comorbidity, the comorbidity of gambling and drug use and alcohol and drug use and kids who've grown up and the father was drinking, the mother was gambling. So it's everywhere in the stories, and it's sort of about drawing out those stories and putting them together so that, you know, the non-siloing occurs through the presence of the story in lots of ways. But today, we're going to watch Pauline's story. And in Pauline's story, after we've watched Pauline's story, I won't give it away. You'll watch the story, and then then you'll have an opportunity to talk with Pauline after we've watched the video. Just to say, you will see in the process of this, Pauline in the beginning did not want to be seen, but wanted to tell a story. I said, okay, let's work with that. And then you'll see at a certain stage, she said, no, I think I need to be seen. So you'll understand that when you watch the video, how that occurs. So what we'll do, we'll watch the video, and then I'll just get a few comments from you. You know, we're such a small group, you know, one word response, feeling, and then over to a conversation with Pauline. So we'll delay the meeting of Pauline. Let's watch her via her story, and then after that, have a conversation with Pauline. So thank you. Judy's going to share the video just while we've got this pregnant pause. Just in case you didn't know what was going on there.
Didn't know, and I was thinking,
yes, that's okay.
Jump in and do something.
Hey, Pauline, Three Sides, Pauline, can you put your audio on mute just for the moment, then unmute after? How's it going, Judy? Oh, there we go. Yay. Judy, there's no sound. Judy, no sound. Have to take the computer audio, put the, yeah.
Does Judy have to turn off, put her own microphone on, Catherine, for us to get down?
She'll work it out. You right, Judy?
Fun to be around, very friendly child. Oh, talk to anybody. But how much of that was a cover? Danger, danger, here he comes, quick, run, run, don't let him in, lock the door. Scared of the dark. She kept her silence to protect the cats she loved. The girl of the 50s, left school at 15, first job at 16, married at 19. She tried hard to move away from the shadow. When her husband started philandering, she became a stress eater. One day she went to her car and he'd written in shaving cream, "I am a pig, I eat too much." When he left, although she'd never felt loved, she felt rejected. Her daughter was 3.5 and she was all she had. So when her daughter was 16 and rang and said, "Mum, I'm leaving home," she sat in her office and cried. She hadn't seen it coming. The day the Pokies came to town, Tony is her friend of many years, absolutely charismatic. He likes the Pokies, she doesn't. Tony, it's so boring sitting in the car. Don't be too long. Waiting, waiting, waiting. It's getting dark. Better make sure the doors are locked. She hates being put in this position for those bloody bogies. So she goes in. "Just 5 more minutes," says Tony. "Just sit down, you'll be right. Here's $5. You've won $200. With only a few pushes, downhill like a speeding train. "Hi, Tony. Casino tonight?" "Yeah, okay. I'll see you then." We've been here all night. She's gone through her bank balance. She's into her mortgage. God, I think Tony's done the same. "Hi, my name is Pauline. We've just come to find out what it's all about." Oh, what a pack of losers. Oh, let's go to the Pokies. On their way out, one of the members said, "Everything you've heard tonight that you don't think applies to you, just add the word yet." Petty cash, $250. Electricity, $200. Staff wages, $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $1,000. Put that safely in the safe. The quicker that she can get to the bank, the more time she can spend at the Pokies. A ticking clock, a ticking time bomb. Nothing. Doesn't want to go home. Nothing. She drives to her office in the industrial estate, afraid of the dark. Security guards? No. She knows the combination of the alarm system. 3, 9, and has the keys to the safe. 3, disarm. Oh, thank goodness it worked. I'll just do it the once. You were brought up better than this. $200 will be fine and I'll put it back in the morning when I have a win. The adrenaline's pumping, the reels are spinning, her mouth is dry, gone in a flash. Too sick to eat or drink, to concentrate. For 18 months, sick in the guts. Every time she went to the safe, she didn't stop, couldn't stop. And in the end, she lost the job she loved. She's living on cheap bread and yucky brands of coffee. Even let her medication slip. Doesn't matter as long as the cats are fed. Oh, cat food. Whiskers, Purina. Oh, black cat. Haven't played the black cat machines for a long time. Right, fruit and veg, bananas, apples. Oh, chilies. God, imagine how much you'd pay if you got all those chilies in a row. Spinning, spinning, spinning. She's hoping for the money to run out soon. Lying on her bed, she shuts her eyes. She can't rest. Spinning, spinning, spinning. Hi, and ringing to talk about the final notice I got in the mail. Who's calling? Can't cut the phone off. No. Refinancing my mortgage. I really hate to ask you, Heather. The car broke down again. She's working in aged care now, but after a late shift, where do you think she goes? Gosh, she's here every time I come. She'd noticed the woman many times over the years at local venues, but as time passed, she became withdrawn. I reckon she's got a problem. Leaving the venue at 5 a.m, she didn't see that woman follow her home, slip in behind her. As she passes the mirror in the hall, she sees her, that woman. It's me. Doctor, I've come to see you today because I feel that my life's not worth living anymore. Where do I go for help? Who can I talk to? Where do I go? What can I do? I didn't click with the first counsellor. The second, I didn't trust her initially. Do we really have to talk about my marriage, my daughter? I'm here to talk about the gambling. She always keeps a box of tissues handy when I come. Hello? I need to add another 10 venues to my deed, please. Everything that I owe at the moment. She saved my life, this financial counsellor. Hello, my name's Pauline and I'm here because I've got a gambling problem. Boy, it feels better to say that out loud. And there's nothing I can say that they haven't heard before. Oh, hi Tony. You're going to the casino? There's many places that we can catch up. I told you I don't gamble anymore. Yeah, I know. Things never change, but they can change, Tony. Have a look at this. Out to lunch with the girls on Tuesday. She doesn't know I'm paying for lunch. Next week, I'm having my hair done. Writers group. 6:30 is my peer group and I never miss it. Sometimes when there's a new person in the group, I find myself saying, things that you hear here tonight that you don't think are applying to you, just add the word yet. Now that I'm retired and I've got money, it's lovely. I was at my daughter's house yesterday. I bought myself a dryer. Where did I get the money from? What, do you think I'm gambling again? I was really quite pissed off with her, but then I thought I lied and cheated and tricked her that many times while I was gambling. I get it. More messages. I can't believe how many people I've heard from this year. That just proves to me that my family and friends have finally forgiven me. And that is worth $1 million. Addiction thrives in the dark, and I'm no longer prepared to live in silence in dark places. Come on, kitty, kitty, kitty. Come on, Lily, Monty. Come on. Come on, kitty, kitty, kitty. Come on.
Oh, there we are. Thank you. Look, let's just go around like we could do it in the chat box. Take yourself off mute and say a word, a feeling, something in your mind or something Pauline said that sticks in your mind, and then we'll transition to Q&A. Off you go. I saw Belinda, you saying something out, mouthing something.
Oh, I was saying wow, but I think the oh.
Yeah, it's all good.
Oh, sorry, I disappeared from my end. I was just going to say that the word that always comes up for me, besides the, I just can't, I know lived experience is the most important impacts for us to have, and we've all heard stories like this. And I just want to say to Pauline, you are the most bravest, amazing, amazing advocate on so many levels. But my word would be normalization as opposed to pathologizing.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. Thanks, Belinda. Somebody else?
Tremendous compassion for Pauline. And I looked at Pauline then on the screen. I think Pauline was experiencing compassion for herself as well. That's so powerful, Pauline. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Extremely courageous.
Oz and I both agree the word that we'd express after that is hope.
Ah, yes, great.
Yeah, that's the word that came to mind for me as well.
Yeah.
I think hope, and I think I felt the feeling in my gut loosen as the film went on. That was just incredible. Thank you so much, Pauline.
That's a quote, the feeling in my gut loosen. I like that. Somebody else? April.
Yeah, my word was connection. I just felt a lot of connection to your story, but I also could see how important that was for you in your recovery. And it was really beautiful just to see how that was kind of there at the start. I love that quote around the opposite of addiction isn't necessarily abstinence or sobriety, it's connection. And you could really see that in your story.
Oh, beautiful. Thanks, April. Heather?
Yeah, I'll jump in off the end of that one because mine was perhaps illuminating. I loved the idea of not living in the darkness anymore, and also love what it shows to other people. I think it shines a light on in that normalizing way.
Ah, beautiful. Thank you, Heather. Heidi?
Yeah, I'm similar, Heather, in that idea of how much you can hide things in the dark, and it was just so wonderful to hear that idea of no, let's open this up to people and know that there are so many things available and that you can work through it. So absolutely amazing to hear, Pauline, and I agree with you, Julie. I looked at you at one point and I was like, this is just so amazing to hear the lived experience of people. And see you going through it and watching your own story and how you've come out the other end. So, yeah.
Oh, thanks, Heidi. Anybody else? Pauline over there in NZ?
Just put on the headphones, so I hope you can still hear me. It was very, very well produced and wonderful courage, Pauline. It reminded me of something that we use a lot working with impacted family members around CHIME, connection, hope, identity, meaning, and empowerment and self-trust. And I saw all that. We use that for AOD, but I saw that all in that presentation. So well done, Pauline.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Because I'm just sort of speaking off the note on my page. Paige?
Paige, she might be otherwise occupied.
That's okay. That's fine. That's fine. So shall we, Pauline, say hi to everybody, and then we'll transition into questions with Pauline. Pauline can invite you to the questioning. Over to you, Pauline. Do you want to reflect anything?
Thank you, everyone, for coming today to watch this presentation. I do find it a little confronting, so just please bear with me. Living your experience is one thing, telling your story is another, but seeing it on film, I find it very confronting. So I can see how perhaps it might just help someone. And let's hope that's what it does. So if you've got any questions, I'm happy to answer any questions.
I'm quite interested in the process that you've all been through in in creating this anthology of your story and enacting it, and capturing it the way you have, because it is such a powerful retelling. I don't know if you can answer that.
It's a slow process, and Catherine, our artistic director, is just wonderful. She draws out of you your story and your confidence to put yourself out there and tell your story. And now it's time for me to tell my story, to stand up and speak my truth. And it is a slow process. I'm only reasonably new to this side of presenting my story, but with Catherine and Judy's cooperation, I'm sure it'll get a lot easier. But it's a slow process. There's a lot of interviewing done by Catherine to formulate the story. They are all my own words. Catherine hasn't, whilst we had sort of things we wanted to say, Catherine in no way put words in my mouth. They are all authentic words. And on the video, they're authentic to you, so don't you worry. I hope that answers your question.
Would you add to that, Pauline? I think just like in the sense there was that reveal, like you talk about the confidence. I've got you, Belinda. Yeah, that confidence thing is that in the beginning you sat in your lounge at your house, and I'd ask you to re-say something, you'd go, no. But just that gradual chipping away and your courage to respect your own boundaries, but you kept shifting those boundaries as well. I witnessed that with you, and respect.
Absolutely.
That. Yeah. And I guess that happens through trust and familiarity, doesn't it?
Complete trust.
Yeah. Another question, anybody?
I had one question, and I do have to duck off shortly. So, Pauline, I was very interested in the bit where you went to your GP. And one of the things that we're focusing on at Smart Recovery is very low awareness amongst GPs around what to actually do, even for drugs and alcohol, let alone gambling. So, yeah, just interested in what your experience was in terms of trying to get help and, going to your GP as a first point of contact, which a lot of people do.
Interesting that you bring that up, April. When I went to the GP, he really, I was suicidal. That was the whole thing. And he was more interested in, do I have to call the CAT team? I knew all, what's the story, but no advice or talking about where to get help or anything like that. So whilst he got me over the crisis, he was no help really.
Yeah. It's I think we've got a lot of work to do in that space. So and again, this is the power of your story is that it's so useful and gives hope for people in the situation themselves, but also insights for us as services around where we need to be targeting, where are the roadblocks for people or the barriers for help,
And just furthering that, April and Pauline, I think, isn't it? It's not like hearing that gambling's in the mix. Do GPs say, oh, well, these gamblers help? Do they refer people on? So, let alone, like you said, April, I'm not sure what their referral pathways are to, peer connection groups and all such things, Al-Anon, so, yeah, how are GPs armed up to deal with?
We'd love to collaborate with you, April, in any way in getting into the GP world.
Yeah, well, interestingly, we do have some federal funding to focus on this, a GP awareness campaign, and to the Al-Anon members in the room. We were at a GP conference and I spoke to over 500 GPs. Only 16 had heard of Smart Recovery, but about 90% had heard of AA, which is great, or GA in this situation. But yeah, I think there's a lot of work to be done because they just don't know what they don't know. And as you say, Pauline, they might just want to focus on that immediate, crisis, but how do we then actually get referrals in? And I just find they talk about our services in a whole nother language. So they talk about group therapy, which we don't actually use at Smart Recovery. Others on the line might, but yeah, so love to have a yarn about that, Judy, in more detail. Because
Pauline, I wondered whether you wanted to, in this context of families, wanted to speak about your daughter.
My gambling was over a period of 28 years from the day that you saw in the video, the day I had that first win. It was instant. I didn't slowly become addicted. I was addicted to that point. At that time, $200 was my work's wage. And I thought, how easy is this? But then my relationship started to change with the people around me because I started to go on my own and lie about where I was and where the money was coming from. My daughter stepped in after a series of other siblings and friends trying to take control of my money, but I sort of worked my way around them. She took over. Marnie is 49 years old now. She decided she'd go the route tough love. And it really changed the dynamics there's only her and I and my grandchildren, of course. She became the parent, I was the child. It really affected things. She had no respect for me. I lost respect for her. It was terrible. But after she saw that video, she was just astounded. She said, Mum, I couldn't realise just how badly this tough love was. I knew it didn't work. I had no idea of the history. Although she'd known of my abuse and the abusive husband, not physically abusive, emotionally abusive husband, and the fact that she left home and I was empty nested at a very young age. She looks at me differently and realised that she'd done the wrong thing. And when she saw in the video about the dryer incident, do you think I'm gambling again? It never occurred to her that she had upset me. But from the day she saw my video, which was just a private screening here in my home with Catherine, Marnie and myself, our relationship has not only got back to the normal mother-daughter as it should be, but it's never been as affectionate and as positive as it is now.
That's amazing. And that's the telling of your story so genuinely, but the therapeutic value of telling your story and having it crafted the way it's been crafted as well. So
I would never let my two siblings, they're older than me, I would never let them see the video. Right. They're still of the mindset all these years later. I mean, I'm now 2 years and 9 months into my recovery. They're still in the attitude, you could have just stopped going. Well, with any addiction, we know that that's not the case. They just do not understand the power of addiction. So I'm not even going to go that route with them. I have to accept that that's their thoughts. But they are pleased with me because my life's completely changed. So family relationships really are effective, but hopefully I can work on it a little bit more as time goes by and let them see that, this recovery is genuine and long lasting.
And in your work today, I'm just a question to all of you in the room. I mean, how do you what awareness do you have around gambling harm in the spaces that you work? How
A
does
lot for us.
yes.
A lot for us because, and one of the things that, and by the way, can I just say, Catherine, your artistic direction is phenomenal. I think every agency should be funded because the whole area of arts is a huge healing tool that is never funded. And if you ever want a recommendation, I would have my hand in the air. In fact, I'd like you to come work with us. I think a couple of a couple of things I just wanted to kind of say as well. If I could just quickly go back to, with Pauline, with you going through that journey, one of the things just as services and the way we're dealing it and embedding it, we do know, and it's also age specific, but did you find, because we're also very worried about re-traumatizing people, Pauline, when we're going through processes of repeated storytelling. So I was just wondering, did you kind of have to do, did you have quite a process at that time of having to work on your well-being and stabilization to develop the stability to be able to tell your story, because it actually requires not only courage but previous work and stability to get you to that point of being able, I know you're well supported by the amazing people around you, but was there a level of recovery that needed to recur before you could do that?
I had a one-on-one counsellor that I saw for quite a while. And although Catherine says she's not a counsellor, no, she may not be, but she gave me support and drew out of me all the sense of well-being and taking care of myself and doing things slowly. And I kept, even though I don't see my counsellor anymore, I do email her once every few months and just tell her things are still going well. And her attitude is always, if you need to just come for one appointment to tell us if there's anything, you're welcome. She did warn me that seeing these videos being launched, it might be a trigger point. It's a trigger point as in an emotional one for me, but it's not triggering me to want to gamble or anything like that at all. I don't feel in any sort of danger because I think I was limped along the journey so slowly that there's been no repercussions.
Yeah. And that's where, even when you were talking about with GPs, if you don't mind me mentioning, Catherine, that, and I was interested with April as well, in my nearly 30 years in the sector, we've had a block with GPs. I've done so many talks, they never come. We were even at a conference where none turned up. They, in their defense, they have 15-minute interviews to cover absolutely everything. So there is an issue there. I think, lack of access to resources is probably sometimes more what poverty is about, not just money. It's actually not knowing where to go. To your question, Catherine, we actually have a gambling expert in our team anyway, even though they're a drug and alcohol counsellor. And one of the unfortunate things is to try and capture data to build the narrative and the case for appropriate levels of funding. And even when we capture our data, none of that drug and alcohol stuff clicks. Now, we ask it in intake and we work with our clients because drug and alcohol and gambling is a very common thing. We also see a high level of people being taught to gamble through chronic levels of gaming that's happening with our clients at the moment, and we're all over that. But to your point, I think as an agency, because I did pathological gambling in one of my addiction degrees, and so I had that awareness. I heard it from clients all the time, even the younger ones with the gaming stuff. We've added that into our comprehensive assessment. And I think this is where in terms of this forum, we also can be capturing the areas for advocacy. I know that we all feel disillusioned with the systems, and I actually think that's really valid. I have to say to my clients, what you may want may not exist right now, which is really hard to parents when they're wanting their kid just to be taken away and fixed and brought back. There's a lot of education. Doctors will always fall back to AA and Gamblers Anonymous, which is absolutely fine, but treatment is not a one size fits all. For young people, it's really hard. If people are willing to do that, and the number one thing that stands out for me, and I will finish, Julia, after this, is readiness for change. So we've got rich data, qualitative data of years and years and years of stories from parents, but it's actually with the people that are going through the treatment side. And the reason we work with parents separately is that person does not have readiness for change, and they're like a hostage in the room. So it's about when we then work with the family, then we can look at how Pauline has beautifully identified the recovery of the family side is a very different recovery for the person that's actually receiving treatment. And usually it's when they're in post recovery that the parents go into their aftermath of trauma and then kind of start, worrying and projecting onto that person in recovery that, are you doing it well enough? And you're going to relapse every second, and everything you do is a relapse. And it's the whole conversation is caught in that place. So I think there's a lot of stuff for us to do with GPs, but I do think there's an opportunity for us to lobby around having Gambly included. I mean, I did it in addiction studies, so why it's not included in all services is beyond me. But it is something that we could work towards.
Well, I mean, just the AOD, alcohol and other.
Drugs. Well, that's because alcohol is legal.
But I think it's often because and we've done some work with the magistrates that because it's not something you put into your body. You're not ingesting alcohol, or you're not.
Yes, but we all know it's a dopamine drip, right? We all know.
It's like shifting the idea that it's a behavioural rather than an addiction, and so it's sort of
addiction's biopsychosocial. It's not one mechanism; it's a perfect storm.
Something that I was thinking after watching that video, Pauline, was how you mentioned, I think there's so much, I work as a psychologist as well, and I work out at a rehab centre and also with families at a community clinic and see lots of presentations. And what you said about the first counsellor you saw wasn't a good fit, and I just think that takes, after the journey that you'd been through to get to that point, which is absolutely huge, of actually saying, I'm going to go and talk to someone about this, to then be able to acknowledge this isn't a good fit and I'm going to go and talk to somebody else and try again. I think that was just incredible. I don't know if there's anything you want to mention about what that process was like for you.
The first counsellor I went to see, and I know this is a funny comment, but I felt she was too much of a lady to understand the depths of what I was doing. Even though she was a gambling addiction counsellor, I really didn't feel I could say too much to her in case I shocked her. And so it took a couple, but I've finally got onto one who is so good that I tell her, or had told her everything, warts and all. But in our peer group that I go to every Thursday night, which is a support group, we sort of say to the people there, don't be put off if you tried counselling and it didn't work. Don't put it, don't put paid to it. You might have to try 2, 3, 4. It doesn't matter how many you try. You're entitled, the same as if you were clothes shopping. You don't necessarily have to buy from every shop you go into. But getting the right counsellor really made a difference.
That's so very true, Pauline.
If you don't mind if I mention something else as well that just came out. I think you mentioned earlier that you're taking this into residential rehab environment. I'd be really curious because I work at the moment out at Who's, which is I'm not sure if anyone's familiar with that. It's a therapeutic community model. And I am absolutely guilty of not asking about gambling. And this is really terrible and a huge kind of eye-opener for me, and something that I'm absolutely going to be doing in my assessment from here on. And I'm just kind of wondering, what's your experience been of kind of bringing this into that kind of traditional alcohol and drug space?
I just want to say, when we presented in the rehab, I remember Judy, when we were there, we presented Carolyn Sinena's story and Ken, and in one of the scenes, she's sitting on a chair and just chucking all throughout the scene, chucking all this fake money on the floor, constant, and people really see that image. And a woman who was in there for drugs.
This is Odyssey House.
Prison, people coming out of prison stuff. She stood up and she said, "That's my mum's inheritance. I blew my inheritance, and other people started to reveal, because in the rehab it's just not given the same weight. And one of the people that I'm working with at the moment, she went to prison for fraud in relationship, crystal meth, selling drugs, getting involved, etc., but was gambling at the pokies. She went into prison, kicked the drug habit, thought, great, when I get out, I'll be good. Got out, stress happened, went to the pokies. The pokies addiction did not go away. And many people have said, where else do you go when you're high, you can't sleep, you're charged up? What else is open? Pokey venues. You go there, people are dealing there, so sort of that connection is huge. So I think because it is so huge, it's so important to have that conversation. And maybe many people in drug addiction too, maybe one of their parents was a gambler, or what I mean, there's so much.
Catherine, I think you're absolutely right. The comorbidity is probably quite high, and I don't know why it's dropped off. Actually, it's quite an interesting question, because I know when I was doing a master's at Flinders in addiction, what was primary healthcare, but specialised in addictions, one of the things that we actually did was went into the casino there, and we did this project of looking at how it promotes harm, which was a very interesting thing to try and do, because you had to look at what's going on in this environment and it's that stuff of it's dim, there's no sunlight in there, the machines talk to you, there's no talking to all the people, there's no clocks anywhere, it's all of these sort of things. So yeah, it's interesting why it's dropped off. I mean, I see people privately where gambling and all drug and alcohol has become an issue or is an issue, and often there's a history in the family as well. And I'm sure other people do as well. And
all the time.
Helen and Roz, you would have people, I'm guessing, at Al-Anon who are at Al-Anon because where their loved one is gambling and has an alcohol or drug problem as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that comorbidity thing, we understand, goes hand in hand. Alcoholism is our primary focus, although we are happy for any family members who've got a loved one with a drug addiction to come to Al-Anon. We know that we've got an increasing cohort of members who come for that reason. There's usually an alcohol problem as well. But there's often a gambling problem as well. And we don't necessarily focus on what their problem is. It's about the effect that it has on the family. It doesn't matter whether it's financial abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, whatever it is. It's about dealing with, encouraging the families to develop skills themselves of being able to deal with that in a functional way. And we talk about them developing a life regardless of whether their loved ones get sober, clean, or whatever. So that's certainly our focus. But
I'd like to add the value of the sharing, as Pauline said, and as a few of you have shared. A lot of our members, they may not start sharing for a little while, but when they do, and you see them change from when they first walk in to a couple of meetings later, sometimes even one meeting later, there's almost a 90-degree turnaround in how they're in their hope and their joy, but also suddenly they've got things off their chest. They've got a place where they feel safe because it's anonymous, and they get that connection, and then they can start to share a little bit more. And the 12 steps helps them develop the courage to share a little bit more over time, and to start looking at the acceptance of the affected person and what they can and can't change, what their how much, all they can really change is their own attitude and behaviours. And they learn that they can't really change the other person, and they suddenly, little by little, a day at a time, find serenity and start to be able to think about how to apply good management skills to their own lives, and learn to detach with love from the affected person. And often that does lead them into recovery over time, a long time, but hands off the person.
And then, whenever we are asked to present to professionals, like we were yesterday, we gave a presentation to Alfred Health yesterday and did Headspace just before that. We always have people there telling their stories. That's a really important part of our presentation. Anything we do a bit of a, facts and figures about this as well. Al-Anon is, but here's lived experience, and we have 2 or 3 people giving their lived experience story, and that's more powerful than any amount of statistics we can provide. And it's seeing professionals see them, and that's what our meetings are all about. It's just about sharing lived experience. So we completely resonate with the power of doing that, and so but thank you again, Pauline, for the courage to do that. And for us, we have a very big principle of anonymity. So we have a lot of videos and things that are done either by actors or doing with people's faces blocked out. But the power again of people hearing their story, members saying, "I didn't think anybody else felt the way I did," and then they finally say, everybody else knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Helen.
I think that's the normalization, isn't it, Helen, around the fact that when you actually, when people come into us, they get shocked. When I say to a 15-year-old, "Are you doing brekkie cones in the morning?" They're like, "Whoa," because they're waiting for another person to show. The stigma and shame, Pauline, that you were talking about, and Catherine, stigma is something as a sector we're having to, in drug and alcohol itself, having to change the language and the way we speak to people, because that is indeed the barrier, which I can see as well. The way you were spoken to, people don't get it. There's a sense of relief. I think the mutual aid support is the most powerful part of all of this. I do know, though, I was wondering, Pauline, if what I see as well, and I also have 15-year-old twin girls that are surprisingly not giving me any trouble, which is kind of weird. But when they were really little, Pauline, I used to walk past Time Zone and say, "Everyone ready to go in and learn how to gamble," because even the music that gets trapped in your head, the constant symptomology of the intrusiveness of that seems to be happening at this earlier level. I've got clients that's children are pissing in bottles because they won't leave their game long enough. They're also very stoned when they're doing it. But this is also bringing it down to the other end of the scale, and not just prevention, because you can't drug proof or proof someone against this, but that earlier ways, can you see that that's an important area, Pauline, that's coming up for young people now in relation to developing gambling addiction?
You're on mute.
Absolutely, I can. I have a 14-year-old grandson who's gaming, and I don't understand the whole process. But when I'm in another room and I hear him in the bedroom playing, and they're yelling and wahooing and all the rest of it, I can see that there's going to be a problem. Yeah. And even when they were younger, sort of 7, 8, 9, 10, he and his sister, I'd take them to the pictures as a nanny's day out, and we'd go to Time Zone. I didn't realise about addiction then, but I thought to myself at the time, "Oh wow, these kids are really getting hooked on the reward and the ticket," and so it's around them everywhere, unfortunately.
And I think an important part of all of this is the power of the industry to market entertainment and to label, obviously. So you talked about language before, stigmatizing. We've always learnt from our lived experience to call them the problem gambler makes them the problem.
It's like addict.
Gambling, harmed by gambling is more the point. We've got a young woman that we've developed a story with, and about her boyfriend who was, Time Zone in those car machines.
Oh, yeah.
Spent $150,000 on the game. She said you could have owned that car by now. And the way that when he finally, during COVID, went to give it up and give his card back, the way that the what do you call them, the Time Zone people, or the games people are on the phone to him going, "What bonuses can we give you? What else can we give?" And people do that to people at the casino through membership. So all those laws, and you see the ads on the TV for sports betting, the culture
prolific.
Yeah, so that is political, a huge political thing in our society. And sometimes we've heard, I think Tim Costello, hasn't he, Judy, likened the power of the gambling industry to the gun lobby, to politics in America,
for sure.
the gambling industry in Australia. So that's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you
really-
could speak into the drug summit. I'm wondering if someone could actually do something that still entails co-occurring, because we know that things don't usually stand just in isolation. But I'm wondering if there's an opportunity for a submission into we've finally got a date for the drug summit.
Yeah.
Don't
I
know.
think it would
Could be. Happy to
great.
speak about it.
Yeah, great to get it on the agenda for sure.
Yes, let's.
So I'm conscious of the time.
yeah.
I'm not sure if Pauline Stewart or Heidi Gray, whether you wanted to just add, or Heather, I'm not sure if you three wanted to add anything else, or even Paige. I saw Paige come on momentarily. If you wanted to add anything else.
I've just really appreciated listening. So yeah, thank you very much, everyone that's been involved in this. Yeah, as you know, our background is drug and alcohol, so haven't particularly looked into the gambling side, and so really interesting to hear the stories and important just for me to start understanding and acknowledging that aspect. So yeah, thank you, everyone.
Often co-occurring. And Pauline, Pauline New Zealand, did you want to say anything about the research? Because there's actually been quite a body of research done by Richard Velleman and Jim Orford, I think, and Corpello from the 5-step method. And the 5-step method actually addresses gambling, drug and alcohol for families. Did you want to say anything yourself, Pauline, about that?
Not on that particular thing, although it does. And the several services in the UK who use the 5-step around gambling, and it's very successful.
Yeah.
But I do just want to comment on one of the things that Pauline spoke about tough love. We have many impacted family members who come to us and talk about the fact that tough love has never worked. And I think I really appreciate you saying that, because it's like people, talking about codependence and all these sort of terms of which there's no research at all. There's many trapdoors under all these things. And so I really appreciate you saying that in a practical sense about tough love never working. What we need is connection and identity and meaning and all the things that have been so well researched by many people. So thank you very much.
Yeah. And Pauline, before you go, what was your chime thing? Because that's it, isn't it?
Yes. This is from Professor David Best at the University of Derby. Huge research about what people need to move into recovery. And that is around connection, hope, identity, building a new meaning, and having empowerment and self-trust. And if you want to look at self-trust, that's likes of Mark Lewis and Biology of Desire and things like that. So it really resonates with what Pauline's saying about some of the things that she's found work too.
What was the H for?
Hope.
Hope. Oh, hope. Yeah.
It's one of the resources we use with impacted family members all the time.
Yeah, it's great.
So
Can I? Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Pauline. I don't know if you can answer this question, but if you were able to share one pearl or one gem with families, if you were able to give them one little piece of advice, what would come to mind?
Oh, gee, that's $1 million question.
I know.
Heather. I mean, that can vary on a conversation to conversation basis. What's appropriate in one conversation may be completely out of line on another. There's nothing I can, I guess, just hang in there and let that person know that they're loved. Even, I knew I was loved despite my behaviour, and that's what helped me in the end.
Thank you.
Connection, Heather.
Yeah.
Can I just finish with a comment that I like to say? Remember, it's not the setback, it's the comeback that counts.
Beautiful. That's great. Judy, did you want to say anything else? Because I realised that you're in.
No, look, I'm aware of the time, and you've got other things to talk about, but it's been fabulous to be here, and I would love to be able to connect with many of you. I asked, for instance, Belinda for your email, but I wonder whether if I send an email and even ask for maybe a little bit of feedback so that we can add to our feedback, and to be open to very much open to collaborating with anyone who you think it could be possible. Be terrific.
Great.
So if I email you, Julie and Paige, yeah.
Paige, the three of us will make sure your email is
Okay.
available, and we will.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, it's been wonderful to be here. Thank you, and thank you to Pauline.
I think Judy earlier on you mentioned that you'd be happy to share that book as well. Would absolutely love to have a look at the book with
All
the
right,
stories.
so the best way is I'll get I'll get an email out to everyone, and then we can be in touch.
Yep, thank you.
Judy, feel free to just do a reply all, or else just send it to Claire, Paige, or myself, and we will put it out. Whatever is easy, whatever you.
Yeah, I don't have everyone's email. I'll just whoever I have. Terrific.
Okay, that's
okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you
Thanks,
so
everyone.
much.
Thank you so much. It was great to be here, and to Pauline for showing up and being out there.
Well done, Pauline.
Thank you, Pauline.
Thank you.
Pauline.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for having us. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.